Welcome to the Innovation Room, the space we explore the application of technology and AI in business, the practical and sometimes philosophical ideas shaping our future.
Welcome to the Innovation Room, where we explore practical applications of AI in business. Today, we're looking at trends shaping the future in a special Christmas episode, reflecting on AI in 2024 and what excites us for 2025, attempting to build a gingerbread house while we do it. I have the pleasure of having our Geeks senior leadership here with me today, so I'll let them say hi and introduce themselves.
So, hi, my name's Dehan Matthee. I'm the Director of Operations here at Geeks. I take care of anything from our external operations, our project delivery team, and making sure our internal operations is as efficient as possible.
Hello everyone, I'm Matt. I'm the Executive Director and the CTO at Geeks, and I'm responsible for our technologies and mainly our processes, and make sure that our clients and our team benefits from the latest technologies and innovation.
Fantastic. So before we start in, we will do an icebreaker in a moment, but and for the audience, we actually have done no planning on how we're going to do this gingerbread. So let's just dive in and we'll see what we create. And one thing I can guarantee, it probably won't look like what's on the box. And so let's just get those pieces out. And while the team is getting set up, bear with us if you hear some noises of packets. I'm going to start off with a bit of an icebreaker. It's a tradition of ours, but we'll put in a little bit of a festive twist on this one. So if you could bring any festive Christmas character into the innovation room to either help us make this gingerbread house or to drive innovation, who would they be and why?
I'll start. I think probably the first one, or the one I can think of, is Mrs. Claus, because I think she'll be really good at helping us build the gingerbread house. But also, I think she's a little bit of an unsung hero around Christmas. You know, what happens in Santa's workshop? What happens with the sleigh? There's somebody pulling the strings behind the scenes, and I think it's Mrs. Claus that's in charge of the innovation of the North Pole. So she's definitely somebody I'd like to bring into the innovation room.
Yeah, I bet you're right. I never thought of that, but I bet she runs a tight ship.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
You might have to. Yeah. I think I'd probably bring Scrooge to talk about money and ROI. What are the metrics he's looking at to invest on AI?
How do you think Scrooge or Mrs. Claus would tell us to start this gingerbread house to maximize ROI?
They would probably recommend to read the manuals, but you have respectfully ignored that.
So I don't know if you guys have seen the Christmas show Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
No.
But there is an elf. And I'm spacing on his name right now. I want to say Timothy, but I don't even know that that's it. But he wants to become a dentist. And I loved that you can imagine in that sort of space when everyone's just trained to be an elf, but he wants to use his skills to become a dentist. That's who I think I'd want to bring, someone who's thinking outside the box. I also thought about maybe bringing Rudolph, because then like who's going to eat the gingerbread house, or someone that's a little bit of fun. In the room. All right.
The other one you can also do is the Grinch, because he'd have the really good transformation, the evolution.
That's true.
Advice on how that's happened.
Yeah. So, 2024. Let's talk 2024. It's been a very remarkable year for AI. So, we've been working with AI for nearly a decade now, but there's no denying that the last few years has really been other level. So, reflecting on that, what stood out this year in terms of most impactful or practical applications of AI?
While Matt's focusing on his because I'm very bad at multitasking. So once I start building, I'm going to stop talking. So I'm going to start talking nonsense. I think one of the biggest applications for me, which is very often overlooked, is the small incremental gains that you can make with AI. So how you use large language models in your day-to-day work in order to achieve small productivity gains. And those productivity gains over a period of time really actually amount to quite a lot. So for me, and especially at Geeks, it's been fantastic to see how our teams are engaging with OpenAI or Claude or whatever your your model of choice is, how they are engaging with that to make those small gains. And at the end of the day, that actually has quite a large impact.
Nice.
You're doing that too soon.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think assembly line. Yeah, I'm getting in trouble now from the team. You want this one?
No, that.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, because you need to do that side. I get it. I get it.
Ask the most shaky person, and he put the gingerbread house in front of him.
What are the rules on snacking on the things in the
Snacking is always allowed. It's Christmas, calories don't count.
So, Matt, why don't you give us your example of some of the best applications of AI you've seen in 2024?
Unfortunately, I think I have to agree with Dehan on how much you can gain from doing little things and little steps. A lot of businesses might think that they have to invest an enormous amount of money on a very complicated and sophisticated solution to benefit from AI, but there are very simple systems that you can.
It was booby trapped.
There are very simple systems that you can add to your day-to-day processes that can save 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and that will add up. And the benefit of having a simple solution is that you probably don't need a complicated data. Oh, you're missing that. You don't need a lot of data or a complicated infrastructure to design your system. And there are a lot of off-the-shelf solutions to provide that level of capacity. Another example that I can think of is how much AI has impacted education. That's going really bad.
I think it's gonna.
I think
it's gonna need some glue at the top as well. What are you talking about? Oh,
I'm actually quite impressed at this, to be fair. I thought this would definitely fall 3 times before it would stay.
I'll just hold it here for a little.
So yeah.
In education, the impact it has had on how you can learn and interact with an agent that can help you learn the content that historically was really difficult to learn, and it would require you a lot of time and help from experts or your teacher or other resources that are not easily accessible. So I think that is what I'm really, really excited about, how much people can learn with how little they can spend. And that's a very, I feel sad and happy about it, because I feel sad thinking that we went to school, we went to university, not having this level of intelligence working with us. But I feel happy that it gives us a lot of opportunities to learn, especially professional people. They don't have a lot of time, so AI can help us dramatically increase our productivity in education and training.
I might just expand on that. So for those who follow us, they'll know we have something called our Geeks project and initiative. So championing women to get into tech and business. And I did a focus group talking about how AI is changing and could help further this cause. And one of the interesting things, both from a Geeks point of view and a general point of view, is I'm getting a lot of feedback that people are feeling much more empowered with this technology to feel confident when they go into meetings, to feel confident in their knowledge, having a thinking partner that is ironically less judgmental, which I think that could be arguable because I think sometimes we feel a bit judged by AI, but I think that's a huge factor. So personally, as a business leader, I'm seeing people who are at more, for example, junior levels acting like what we would see in senior levels in a lot of the tasks and activities that they do. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's been very encouraging. One of the other things that you mentioned that kind of resonated, I don't know how you feel, but I also feel in 2024, I saw a big shift, and I guess we've even changed. So before 2024, we were talking about businesses calling it early AI adoption, which is really focusing on getting them AI ready or those early entrants. Now we're not really in the early stages. Some businesses still are, but it's been really encouraging to see. I think there's still a lot of fear around what AI is going to do in business for a lot of people, but I think people now are feeling more in control of their own destiny. In, for example, sales meetings I'm in or things like that, people are wanting to engage in more strategic thinking around how can we do this, not just for our business, but also bringing the people. So thinking about the adoption and the culture pieces as well. That's been really encouraging for me because in probably pre-2022-23, it was a lot of us needing to educate pretty heavily towards people to think about these things. But now it's like, I think people get it. And now they're in the next phase of how do we take this and make it very practical for our business. So that's been encouraging. Any other, wins that you've seen in 2024 for us or any clients or anything you've seen in the industry that you think you'd highlight here?
I don't think it's particularly wins. I think one of maybe the pitfalls we have is sometimes what we look at is we don't have that curiosity and that mentality of being okay for things not to work the first time. It's artificial intelligence is a form of intelligence. It is going to interpret a little bit. It's going to make assumptions. And sometimes when it's not quite what you expect it to be, or the answer is not what you expect it to be, you see a lot of people just give up or abandon that technology. And I think one of the things at Geeks and a lot of our clients have done really well is that education, training piece, training the models, having that patience, having that awareness that it might need a third or a fifth or a sixth iteration. And it's really nice to see that a lot of the companies that we work with and that have come to us are prepared to learn as they go. So it's also that education piece that it's been really, really nice to see. And I hope that continues in 2025.
I agree.
I think for what I've observed, especially towards the end of 2024, was how proactive people have become in terms of using AI. Wherever you go, you see people interacting with them. And at the beginning of, I think it was 2023, I talked to a lot of people that didn't even know what AI was. And it was very interesting because ChatGPT and AI was all over the news. And even then, they didn't know what AI was or what it was capable of. But now, wherever I go, most people have subscriptions to an AI platform, and they use it in different capacities, and it is integrated in their lives, and that makes our lives as businesses that provide technology slightly more difficult, because now a great level of intelligence has become expectation for end users, so they don't accept a normal system when they can see how AI could impact that system, because whenever they are interacting with the system, they say, well, why should I do this? AI could do that. So that has brought us to a point that we have to think about how we can utilize AI every single touch point we have with our customers.
It's been really encouraging, I think. And you just touched on customers, which is a lot of people immediately started playing with, if you will, AI from a point of view of operational efficiency and productivity. But one of the biggest opportunities that we see businesses harnessing this year, which really encourages me, is AI to bring to improve customer experience. And so that's one of the things that I'm probably most happy to see. It's kind of going into 2025, but I was most encouraged to see start to happen at scale and more prominently, especially in the last part of the last 2 quarters of 2024, which was businesses thinking about how can we create hyper-personalized applications of AI for the customer experience, because customers want things that feels very personal and understand them, whether that's looking at data they have and say, how can we make this data more meaningful for that specific customer, whether it's notifications, not just, surface level algorithmic views, but actually intelligent translations of that information. How could we improve learning experiences for our students? How can we use data in a way that doesn't exist in our industry? All of those kind of applications we're starting to see get launched in the last year. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, at Geeks in particular, we saw more applications of AI like this in the last quarter than we have in the last 10 years of doing AI projects specifically, which shows that we're really getting that momentum in those types of projects generally, which is very, very exciting. So now let's look ahead. What excites you most about AI, the age of AI 2025?
Well, Matt's giving me anxiety with his decorations.
I know. Actually, before we do that, can we just show?
I'm not done.
I must say, I was actually a bit sad that we did it like a traditional cottage. I kind of wanted to like switch it up a bit, but multitasking, reading questions, and doing this is a bit, and hosting would be a bit.
It was very logical and efficient.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Scrooge wanted to save time and money here, so we couldn't get too creative. Can I just show the camera for a second what you're doing? Awesome. Look at this beautiful piping. So if anyone needs if anyone needs a decorator for 2025, Matt is the guy to call. So 2025, what excites you most?
Ooh, there's a lot to be excited about. I think if I had to bring it back to what am I excited around for Geeks, and maybe secondly, what am I excited around for some of our clients? I think for Geeks, it's going to be is how do we drive or how we adopt different use cases of AI within our day-to-day operations to deliver faster, to deliver more efficiently. And I think that's really exciting because I think there's so many more productivity and efficiency gains. And then secondly is I'm really excited for our clients because projects that normally took you a year, 2 years to do, you can now do in a fraction of the time and at a fraction of the cost because of what's available in the market at the moment. So I think that's a really, really big one. It touches on Matt's point earlier, is it doesn't need a big investment to make a really big gain in terms of ROI. And I'm really excited to see what some of the projects and some of our clients want to work on over the next year.
Cool. What about you, Matt?
I think I didn't want to finish this episode without mentioning the 20 billion pound black hole.
And AI is going to fix it.
I'm keen to see how the government is going to increase productivity to get rid of that black hole. I think I'm very excited to see how AI-based solutions are going to evolve. There are a lot of different architectures for designing AI-based solutions that are evolving, and it's very interesting to see how we can solve real-world problems with treating AI as similar to humans. So AI is, if you think about it, it was created based on human brain, and if you give a lot of information to a human, it's going to overwhelm them because our evaluation or valuation system is very complex, so we need a lot of context. And to resolve that, there are different approaches you can have when you design an AI-based solution. One of them is to design different AI agents and get them to work with each other, which is very interesting because you're essentially creating a software based on a group of human-like intelligence that you essentially have to create a simulate a team in a software. And who makes the final decision, how do they contribute to the process. And that's very interesting to see how those solutions evolve and solve real world problems.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just listening to Matt. It's quite interesting around how you have that network of people, but then also looking at what will be the role of human in this. And I think that's a lot of core of what we do is there will always be a human interaction, and the more complex it is, how is the human role going to change and over the next year? How are the skills going to change?
I think I've been absolutely fascinating. I feel like we're all really living in anthropological, sociological, and even neurology. Like we're seeing all of these kinds of sciences come to an experiment every day in our life because we are interacting with technology in a very different way. But I've been this is kind of looking at 2024, but it's kind of what excites me more, looking at how we're seeing our culture shift. For example, now, you know, how we have our organizational chart has our AI team assistants in that chart, and we're thinking about how people are interacting with that and in our systems and trying to bring it into our culture. And I've been super encouraged by the way people are feeling. They're seeing it more as a way to be empowered, and they are really. And I know our culture is an innovation culture, so it's a bit easier than different ones, but I've been very excited to think what's next for that. So as you said, how the decision making is going to change, how the physical spaces and virtual spaces might change, and how our clients will experience that as well. More broadly, I'm also kind of building on that. One of my things that I was going to say that I'm most excited about with 2025 and different industries and sectors are really, like, big technology investment typically starts in your big corporate, right? And then it starts to become more commonplace with SMEs. AI, the reason it's moving so quickly now is it's almost democratizing quite a bit, in that it's becoming quite affordable for businesses of all shapes and sizes. But what we're also seeing now is a lot of hardware catching up to where the software and intelligence is as well. So we're starting to see more cobotics, not fully automated robots, but more spaces and industries where you're having levels of automation with robotics and hardware coming in, which I think we're going to start to see more in our day-to-day spaces, like getting a coffee, or like, I think we're going to start by the end, I would say, of 2025, depending on what country and city you're living in. That's something that I think is quite exciting. And also the different data and sensors and things that will be coming into business will be really exciting. So I think this next year, one of the trends that I think we'll start seeing is people spending a lot more time, and senior, like, business leaders spending a lot more time thinking about really how is their AI and data strategy propelling their business strategy, so that they can make sure that they're making the most of the information as that technology starts to progress as well. Any other thoughts about what trends excite you for 2025?
I think those are all the ones that you kind of mentioned there on top of this.
one of the pains that I had in 2024 was I had to deal with some solicitors. So my goal for 2025, nobody has to go through that.
Yeah.
And I will just leave it there.
Well, that's probably a big win for 2024 that we had with one of our partners, which we can mention here, Search Acumen. It's been, I guess that's something that is a great reflection on 2024, but also one for 2025 is I'm excited for hopefully us building really great partnerships like that one, because I think that's a partnership to envy, if you will. But I think as businesses look for partners, either like us or otherwise, that can really change the shape of both businesses. And Search Acumen's been a perfect example of that. And they launched a product called Ray, which is transforming commercial property in particular at this stage. It's I don't know if you want to say anything about Ray, but it's been a project that's really going to revolutionize the way that conveyancing process is felt and empower solicitors. So hopefully we'll see more applications like that will make all property transactions much more streamlined. So, final parting words. The theme for this one is, we have a hashtag on this: new year, new AI powered you. Very cheesy, very cliche. Just go with me here. So 2025, if we're trying to, our clients, let's just say, I'm sure they're not doing this, but let's say they're just all sitting there thinking, what is my New Year's resolution going to be for 2025 for our business? What advice would you give them when they're thinking about how AI could be part of that New Year's resolution?
So personally, I'm not a big New Year's resolution fan, just because so many of them fail. So start from the 1st of Feb or the 1st of December or the 2nd of Jan.
Like going to the gym, but don't treat AI like a New Year's resolution to go to the gym.
Yeah, let's put on a little and often.
Yes.
I think it's, so for me, it's more a part of, don't go into the new year without an AI strategy and a data strategy. Or if you go into that year really early on in 25, set your strategy for your business with AI. And that has to go hand in hand with data strategy. And I'm hoping that a lot of businesses will be thinking and having a plan of what they want to do with their businesses and how they can, how they want to interact with AI. They don't even need to know the exact how. That's what businesses like Geeks is for, is to translate that and look at the use cases where they can have the biggest impact. But set guardrails for yourself on how you want to use AI and then execute that. And that's my biggest advice. Like mentioned around the gym, is you don't have to go spend this massive amount of money to have something that's really impactful. Little and often, do something small, get the ROI, do the next iteration, and that would be my advice for 2025.
My advice is very explicit. I think for 2025, focus on increasing productivity by 20%. And that 20% is not going to increase your capacity by 20%, but there are a lot of tasks that may take you 5 minutes, but the mental burden of doing that task for 5 minutes is going to last for 10-15 minutes, and it's going to decrease your productivity in the next hour by X%. So I think increasing the productivity by 20% is going to result in 30-35 in practice. And there are very, very simple solutions to create little changes in our organization to result and see results very, very immediately. It doesn't have to be a complicated solution. You don't need to create a sophisticated, intelligent system. A very low level AI-based solution can add so much value to day-to-day businesses that sometimes there's a problem right in front of your face, and you can gain so much by fixing that. But people think about what their long-term vision or creating a huge impact in their organization that they lose those low-hanging fruits.
It's actually really nice because in my brain, I was struggling with my advice a little bit because I was going to kind of say, you kind of need to do a few things. And my advice would be almost to say, kind of as a business leader, maybe start with carving out a good chunk of your time to focus on this. Because my experience when I'm speaking at engagements or talking to people that are potentially looking for a tech partner for AI, my experience right now is people are almost thinking, and I get it because we're all busy and businesses are busy and it's a challenge, but they're thinking almost one step at a time. So they're thinking, okay, let's either do this strategy piece or let's design and implement this project to get some productivity. And the reality is, depending on where you're at, you might need to do a few of these things. So, and they don't all have to happen, perfectly or completely, but you shouldn't delay things too much. So my experience with us, even though it was a little bit of pressure, or even with some of our clients, the fact that we're doing the strategy pieces and doing some of the productivity wins where we would have a design session for a day and then spend 5 days implementing something, and then you see that game, but at the same time we're refining some of our strategy pieces. That's super important. One thing doesn't stop for the other. And I think I would encourage business leaders to just start by making time to make this happen and then monitor and manage that it is happening, and not to be too precious about, I'm not encouraging to pick up so many things that you can't manage or monitor it, but don't fall into the trap of waiting a year before you're actually making a game, because it could just be as simple as doing something that takes, as you said, a couple days and a big win. Well, thank you guys for joining in the innovation room. I noticed we did stop our decorating in the end, so I think maybe we can take this to the team and see what they do to finish it, and we can add a picture or something of the final product. But thank you for your insight. Wishing everyone very happy holidays, and see you in 2025.